Welcome everybody. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. This beautiful space which is full of energy and excitement and expectation. I'm Laura Collucci-Gray, as Pam introduced me, and I work at the University of Aberdeen, and I'm the lead coordinator and PI on this project, so partly responsible for this gathering, and everything else is down to my colleagues. So this project is funded by the British Educational Research Association, and I just want to be giving you very much a very brief overview to just give you a sense of where we are in the project at this moment. The aim of the BERA Research Commission, as the initiative is called, is to look at issues of current importance to the study and practice of education. We're looking at the changing nature of education across the 4 nations in the UK, and we are supposed to contribute in our own way through our project to the strategic direction of the educational research community in the UK. So as Pam said, we're really engaging with big questions. We're really trying to aim high with our discussions as part of this project and as part of the Commission as a whole. So we are clearly here in this beautiful, comfortable space, but we are operating in a global environment, and we're all very, very aware that the scenario around us is changing very fast, as we have clearly the rise of military operations around the world. We have increasing social challenges to face, social uprising, people feeling increasingly dissatisfied with some of the decisions that are being made at higher levels and that involve their lives. We have also environmental challenges, so it's not an easy place. And as educators, we want to engage with these challenges. So what sort of pedagogies are we offering? What sort of questions are we engaging with? This is part of the agenda within STEM and STEAM. So educators around the world have, in fact, started giving some answers to these big challenges. So some people have identified an issue with voice. So who is involved in making decisions? Who is speaking? Who is learning? So these are some of the questions related to inclusion that we will certainly address partly today. We also have a crisis of relationships amongst people and between people and the environment. So again, we have another dimension to pedagogical practice. So how we're learning with whom and in what places. So we certainly have a big agenda in our hands. So what kind of education are we offering? So to what extent is the transition from STEM to STEAM actually able to tackle with some of these very big questions? So overview of the project, Pam has already said, there is a core team of 4 academics from different institutions in the UK. So we have England, Scotland and Wales represented. And we have a commission of academics that works alongside us, and we have met with the commission at an earlier meeting in Aberdeen. You see the names listed here. They all have a background in education, but we also have 2 people with background in anthropology, but we all have some kind of involvement with the arts, either as part of our professional engagements or as part of our background. And some of the people listed here are actually speaking today. So we have Liz, Pat there, Liz there, and Yvette sitting there. So they'll be speaking to us today, bringing some of their work into this forum. We have the 2 research assistants that have been introduced already, and then we have 4 extended dialogues. So one took place in Aberdeen earlier in February. This is the 2nd extended dialogue, and then we're going to have 2 more, one in Warwick and one virtual, involving teachers in Wales. And the extended dialogues are really the exciting part of this project. It's when people from different affiliations, different orientations and commitments, but all with a responsibility for educational research and practice are coming together to debate questions. You see them here listed for events. These slides are going to be made available, so I'm not going to give you the details of each specific seminar. And I would like to move to just give you a very brief flash onto the story so far, some of the aspects that have emerged through the literature review and the earlier discussions. Well, we're talking about STEM education as a start, and there's no real consensus about what STEM education really is. The acronym is Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. So as you can see, some of the subjects are being missed out in that acronym. So even just in respect to which subjects are included in that acronym, there is debate. There is an emphasis on the cognitive dimension. And the educational literature in particular still refers to a type of STEM education or science education following fairly conventional practices. And there is an increasing concern with pedagogies of inclusion. So is this type of STEM education for everybody? Who is speaking to? Are the groups that are being favored over others? So there are big questions of social justice, and some of those questions are actually pertinent to today's discussion in relation to gender, but we can see that obviously, as we know, inclusion is made of many different dimensions. When we look at STEAM, there is some sort of hope or perhaps an aspiration that STEAM pedagogies with the introduction of the arts would do something to change or challenge current pedagogical practices, perhaps to make pedagogies more inclusive, perhaps to stimulate more creative and better engagement for young learners. And this is really an open forum. So to what extent is this really happening? So what is the role of the arts in this sense? What are they contributing to pedagogy? And we know that there are different ways of looking at arts into STEM to make it STEAM. We have art infusion approaches, which are used in order to deliver content in a more interesting ways. But we also have art integration approaches, which are about developing higher order thinking skills through the actual fusion of different academic disciplines. So into a much more transdisciplinary venture. And how is this possible? How can we assess it? What can we value from this type of engagement? So this is really food for thought for everybody, and I'm sure each presenter today will provide a perspective on these elements. I don't want to dwell on the Aberdeen dialogue, but move further onto the Cambridge dialogue, just to give you the pointers for the meeting today. So really looking at how far are arts-based pedagogies in STEM education promote inclusion? Yeah? What is this type of inclusion we're talking about? Is everybody part of it? Is everybody learning? How far are the interstitial spaces between disciplines created? So is it possible to actually have a dialogue between disciplines? Do they enhance each other? Can we learn through the various disciplines coming together? What are the barriers? Are they conceptual? Are they practical? Are they methodological? To what extent is subjectivity, so each individual single learner, to what extent is that subjectivity and creativity propelled and supported by our practices? And in what way are the different dimensions of learning, the cognitive, yes, but also the emotional, the social, the practical, the imaginative, all these different dimensions being legitimized and harnessed to the well-being of the learners? And finally, to what extent are the multiple literacies being engaged and stimulated? So these are all pointers, just to give you a sense of what we're up to with today's discussion. And
excuse me, what
yes.
is interstitial?
Interstitial, so maybe this is my science background, the interstices, isn't it? Think about a tissue with all the little cells in it and all the little spaces in between them. Yeah, so when you're kind of tunneling through in all these little spaces, yeah? And you're not quite a sense of everything because you're just touching aspects of it, but you're still learning through the experience. How does that sound? Yes. Yeah, the nooks and crannies in amongst the disciplines. Yeah, so looking at one of those models, I can just see all those interstitial spaces amongst those cells.
There is a crack in everything.
Sorry?
There is a crack
There is a crack in everything, yes. And when
that's how the light gets.
yes, and you can see through it. Absolutely. So this is me. I'd like to move on and